There is a category of dangerous animal that makes sense. The great white shark makes sense. The saltwater crocodile makes sense. The African elephant makes sense. These are animals whose danger you can read from across a room. The size, the teeth, the posture, the general architectural commitment to being a threat. You see them, and your brain correctly identifies the situation and files the appropriate paperwork. These animals are not the subject of this video. This video is about the other category. The animals whose danger is not legible from the outside. The ones that look like they should be fine. The ones that look like a children's book character or a petting zoo resident or something you'd find on a decorative throw pillow, and then turn out to be running one of the most efficient threat profiles in their entire ecosystem. The animals that have absolutely no business being that dangerous, and yet somehow, through a combination of evolutionary audacity and complete indifference to reasonable expectations, manage to become exactly that. These are the top 10 animals that did not get the memo about what they were supposed to be. Starting at number 10 with an animal that has constructed its entire identity around looking like the least threatening thing in its environment, and then weaponized that perception with a precision that borders on deliberate. The slow loris is a small nocturnal primate found across South and Southeast Asia. It has enormous round eyes, a button nose, small rounded ears, and moves with a deliberate, unhurried quality that has made it one of the most trafficked animals in the illegal exotic pet trade, because people see it and immediately want to hold it, which is one of the most consistently punished impulses any animal has ever managed to systematically exploit. The slow loris is the only venomous primate on Earth. It produces a toxic secretion from a gland on the inside of its elbow, which it mixes with saliva to create a venom it applies to its teeth. The venom causes anaphylactic shock in humans severe enough to be fatal in sensitive individuals. The slow loris bites with enough jaw pressure to deliver this venom into the wound, and it does so without the kind of dramatic warning display that most venomous animals use, because the slow loris has apparently decided that warning displays are for animals that aren't already holding the winning hand. It just bites, with venom, while looking like a stuffed animal. And then it goes back to looking like a stuffed animal while you figure out what's happening to you. The fact that people are still purchasing slow lorises as pets in 2026 is not a reflection of insufficient warning. It's a reflection of how thoroughly the slow loris has mastered the gap between appearance and reality. Number 9 is an animal that most people in the Northern Hemisphere have encountered and dismissed as a minor inconvenience at a picnic, and which most people in Australia have correctly identified as an ongoing operational threat. The cassowary is a large, flightless bird native to the tropical forests of northeastern Australia and New Guinea, and it is included on this list not because it looks harmless. It absolutely does not look harmless. It looks like a velociraptor that survived the extinction event by moving to Queensland, but because the specific nature of its danger is so disproportionate to the general cultural understanding of birds as a category that it qualifies. The cassowary stands up to 6 feet tall, weighs up to 130 pounds, and has an inner toe equipped with a dagger-like claw up to 5 inches long that it uses as a weapon with a forward kicking motion that can disembowel prey in a single strike. It is the most dangerous bird alive. It is also extremely shy, solitary, and will generally avoid humans if given the option. The problem is that humans keep feeding them, which removes the avoidance behavior, and once a cassowary has associated humans with food, the dynamic shifts in a direction that is very bad for the human. There are documented human fatalities from cassowary attacks. The bird that killed a man in Florida in 2019 was one the victim had been keeping as a pet. It weighed 110 pounds and was wearing a 5-inch blade on its foot. The pet situation was always going to end this way. Number 8 is an animal whose danger has been so thoroughly underreported that the scientific community had to spend decades correcting a misconception that was doing active harm to people who survived encounters with it and were told the wrong thing about why their wound wasn't healing. The Komodo dragon looks dangerous. It's enormous. It's a lizard. It has a forked tongue and claws and a prehistoric quality that correctly signals threat. But the specific mechanism of its danger was officially wrong in the scientific literature for most of the 20th century. The received wisdom was that the Komodo dragon's mouth was full of bacteria from feeding on carrion and that the bacteria caused the wound to fail. This was wrong. The Komodo dragon has venom glands in its lower jaw that produce anticoagulants, compounds that prevent blood from clotting, along with substances that drop blood pressure and cause tissue failure. A Komodo dragon bite doesn't kill through bacteria. It kills through biochemistry. The dragon bites, releases, and waits with the patience of something that has been doing this for millions of years and has never once had a prey animal successfully walk it off. The prey bleeds out. The dragon follows. Eventually, the prey stops. The reason this is on a list about animals with no business being that dangerous is not the venom. It's the addition of the venom to a package that already includes being 10 feet long, able to run at 12 miles per hour, and capable of taking down a water buffalo. The Komodo dragon needed none of what it turned out to also have. It already had enough. Nature gave it more anyway. Number 7 is small enough to sit in your palm and capable of generating enough neurotoxin to kill 10 adult humans. The poison dart frog is approximately 1 inch long, found across Central and South American rainforests, and is perhaps the most efficient example of chemical warfare miniaturized into a vertebrate body that evolution has ever produced. The golden poison dart frog, the most toxic species, carries enough batrachotoxin on its skin to kill 10 grown humans, 20,000 mice, or theoretically 2 African bull elephants. It does not inject this toxin. It does not bite it into you. It is simply on its skin. Contact is sufficient. Batrachotoxin works by permanently opening the sodium channels in nerve cells, preventing them from resetting, which causes constant nerve firing, which causes muscle convulsion, cardiac arrest, and death. There is no antidote. There has never been a recorded case of someone receiving medical treatment that reversed the effects of serious batrachotoxin poisoning. The treatment is symptom management while you hope the dose wasn't high enough to be fatal. The frog that is doing all of this is the size of a paperclip, bright blue or bright yellow or bright red, and moves with a small, unhurried hopping quality that looks exactly like what it is, an animal that has no predators and knows it, and has never once in its evolutionary history needed to be fast. Number 6 is the reason Australia keeps coming up in conversations like this, and will continue to come up in conversations like this for as long as Australia remains a place. The blue-ringed octopus is smaller than a tennis ball. It is found in tide pools and shallow reef environments along the Australian coast and into the Indo-Pacific. It is, when not threatened, a muted brownish-yellow color that blends into the surrounding rock and coral. When threatened, it produces the blue rings that give it its name. Iridescent, electric, pulsing blue circles that appear across its body in a display that is simultaneously one of the most beautiful things in the ocean and the clearest possible signal from nature that you should stop what you're doing immediately. The blue-ringed octopus carries enough tetrodotoxin to kill 26 adult humans. Tetrodotoxin is one of the most potent neurotoxins known to science, 1,200 times more toxic than cyanide by weight. The bite is painless. The octopus is small enough to pick up with one hand. The combination of these two facts is why most blue-ringed octopus fatalities involve someone who picked one up from a tide pool and then did not understand what was happening until the respiratory paralysis started. There is no antidote. The treatment is mechanical ventilation, a machine breathing for you, until the toxin clears your system. If it clears your system, and if you're in a location where a mechanical ventilator is available, which in a remote tide pool in Australia is not guaranteed. The blue-ringed octopus has no business being that dangerous. It is the size of a golf ball. It eats crabs. It has not developed this toxin in order to threaten humans. Humans are simply encountering something that was built for a completely different operating environment and discovering that their size does not protect them from a threat calibrated at the molecular level rather than the physical one. Number 5 is on this list specifically because of the gap between what it looks like and what it is capable of doing to the internal structure of your foot without you initially being aware that this has occurred. The stonefish is the most venomous fish in the world. It is also almost completely indistinguishable from a rock. It sits on the seafloor or among reef substrate, covered in algae and encrusting organisms, and it does not move when you approach because it does not need to move. It has 13 dorsal spines connected to venom glands, and those spines penetrate the sole of a shoe with no difficulty. The venom causes pain so severe that historical accounts describe victims requesting amputation of the affected limb because they could not locate a pain threshold above what they were experiencing that they could use as reference for what was happening. The stonefish is not aggressive. It is not hunting you. It is simply existing in a location you happen to step into, and its response to that contact is automatic and chemical and completely indifferent to the fact that you didn't mean to. The most dangerous fish in the ocean does not pursue you. It waits for you to pursue it accidentally, and then delivers a consequence entirely disproportionate to the act of stepping in the wrong place. Number 4 is an animal that has been on Earth for approximately 430 million years, and in that time has decided that the correct evolutionary strategy is to be so chemically unpleasant that virtually nothing will eat it. The lamprey is a jawless parasitic fish that attaches to larger fish and other aquatic animals using a circular mouth ringed with teeth and feeds on blood and bodily fluids while releasing an anticoagulant that keeps the wound open for the duration of the feeding session. It is deeply unpleasant to look at, deeply unpleasant to think about, and has been doing exactly this since before most of the animal kingdom's major lineages existed. The lamprey is on this list not because it is massively dangerous to humans. It is not, but because it is spectacularly, gratuitously dangerous to essentially every fish species it encounters, and has single-handedly collapsed fish populations in the Great Lakes since its introduction in the 20th century. The sea lamprey invaded the Great Lakes through shipping canals and proceeded to devastate lake trout, whitefish, and chub populations with an efficiency that crashed commercial fisheries and cost the regional economy over $500 million a year in management and control costs. An animal that looks like someone stretched a mouth and forgot to attach a body to it has been functionally winning an economic war against the fishing industry of two countries for decades. It has absolutely no business being that consequential. Number 3 is an animal that most people's threat assessment incorrectly categorizes as a nuisance rather than a danger, which is the threat assessment most likely to get you into a situation you are not equipped to handle. The Canadian goose is a large waterfowl native to North America that has, through a combination of protected status, habitat adaptability, and a personality best described as a moral philosophy organized entirely around the concept of aggression as a first response, established itself as one of the most reliably dangerous animals in the suburban environment. Canadian geese have wingspans of up to 6 feet. They weigh up to 20 pounds. They can run at speeds that are surprising given their build. And they attack with a commitment to the engagement that does not scale down once they have started. Canadian geese have sent people to emergency rooms. Not often, but with enough regularity that the statistic exists and is tracked. They've caused car accidents by refusing to move from roads. They've grounded airport operations. They've established dominance over entire park systems. They almost went extinct in the mid-20th century and appear to have constructed their subsequent population recovery around a philosophy of making humanity regret having let that get close to happening. The fact that an animal with the body of a holiday centerpiece and the temperament of someone who has been personally wronged every morning for 30 years is a documented public safety concern is the definitional entry on this list. Number 2 is technically small enough to mail in a standard envelope and is responsible for more human deaths per year than lions, sharks, crocodiles, wolves, and bears combined. The mosquito. The mosquito is not dangerous because of what it does directly. The bite itself is a minor irritant. The mosquito is dangerous because of what it carries: malaria, dengue fever, yellow fever, Zika, West Nile virus, encephalitis, and because it carries these things at scale across almost every inhabited environment on Earth, in a body so small and a movement so quiet that detection and prevention are both systematically difficult. Mosquitoes kill an estimated 750,000 to 1 million humans per year. No predator comes close. No venom comes close. No physical force comes close. A 6-milligram flying insect with a proboscis and a preference for carbon dioxide is the deadliest animal on the planet by a margin that makes every other entry on this list look like a rounding error. The mosquito has absolutely no business being that dangerous. It cannot bite through fabric. It cannot pursue you at speed. It cannot overpower anything. It is smaller than your thumbnail. And it is responsible for more human death than any other animal that has ever existed. The weapon isn't the mosquito. The weapon is what the mosquito puts inside you. and by the time you feel the bite, the delivery is already complete. And at number 1, the animal that closes this list not because it is the most physically dangerous entry, but because the gap between its appearance and its actual threat profile is the widest of any animal on Earth, and the consequences of that gap are severe enough and consistent enough and well documented enough that there is genuinely no excuse for anyone to be surprised by it anymore. The hippopotamus. The hippo looks like a large, slow, aquatic mammal designed for grazing. It is hairless and rotund and moves with a lumbering quality on land that invites the incorrect conclusion that it is not fast. Hippos can run at 20 miles per hour on land. They are the third largest land mammal on Earth. They have the strongest bite of any land animal, capable of biting a 10-foot crocodile in half. They are responsible for an estimated 500 human deaths per year in Africa, making them the deadliest large land animal on the continent. They are not carnivores. They do not eat you. They simply kill you for being in a location they have designated as theirs, which is any location they are currently occupying or intend to occupy, which is essentially anywhere near a body of water in sub-Saharan Africa. The hippo's danger is not a secret. It is documented, studied, and reported. The Maasai, the Zulu, the communities that have shared a landscape with hippos for thousands of years all treat them with the full gravity their threat profile deserves. The danger is only surprising to people encountering the information for the first time or, more fatally, encountering the animal for the first time from a tour boat. There is video. There has always been video. And there are still people every year who see a hippopotamus in the water from a distance and conclude, based on its appearance, that it is something you can get closer to. It is not something you can get closer to. It is the most dangerous large land animal in Africa, running an appearance so thoroughly inconsistent with its actual capabilities that the gap between what it looks like and what it does has been killing people on the continent with a regularity that has never been sufficiently addressed by the cultural conversation about dangerous animals. Drink water. Hug your mother. Don't pick up anything from an Australian tide pool. Don't approach a hippo from a boat. Don't let the goose think it has you. See you in the next one.